So I've been saying this is Saturday the 8th. It's our second full day in the Los Troncones area outside of Victoria, Mexico, at Joshua and Hazel's place. It's our second full day and the second long walk back down this road where you don't see much traffic. It's quite a nice road. Walking towards the mountains with this hungry quest to go farther than I went yesterday. And I really want to get into those mountains. And like an oasis in the desert, they keep looking closer than they actually are. Only these are pretty solid. They're not a mirage. And so I said, okay, I don't really want to start videotaping until I get to new territory. Stuff that I didn't videotape yesterday. But of course, my battery ran out early in that walk. So there's lots that I have already walked past that I actually did not videotape yesterday because I had no battery. Quieter and quieter. The mountain looming darker and darker. Boy, when I first escaped from Asheville, North Carolina to go to the mountains, I lived way out in the mountains, and my little house out there was notched right between one very big 6,000-foot mountain and the other 6,000-foot mountain that took up my entire panorama off of my front porch was the Cold Mountain. The Cold Mountain on which the movie was based. I think it was actually filmed like in Romania or someplace. But it was the Cold Mountain that had figured in the Civil War because in North Carolina there, guys were splitting both ways in terms of who they fought for. And it was magnificent. And I never got tired of watching the way the light would change. Like this is an overcast, gloomy kind of foreboding almost feeling to it. I love that. And this is reminding me of that. Of course, everything reminds me of something else. I still have not seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. That won, I guess, the Oscar and so much notoriety. But I really want to see it because my life feels that way. Course in Miracles says all reality exists at the same time. And we actually are already there. We've already come home. We've already woken up completely to who we are. But our life is a movie. And we're like on some kind of a carousel or something, drifting past it. Well, and I also said for a long time that I don't so much believe in reincarnation anymore, because I do believe that we're part of everything, that we have, if we drop back into who we actually are, we have access to everything all the time. And if I am having memories of being a monk in the 12th century, it's not so much that I was that guy in another lifetime, as that I'm tapping into that part of reality. I have access to it because I no longer have any resistance. And letting go of resistance to life has been a big theme for me. So, and especially now that I'm off of all my psych meds, which I took for 30 years, my brain is starting to work again, more and more. And I know it's true of seniors, and my clock age is 76. It's true of seniors that they tend to have more memories of the past than yesterday. Well, that's not so true of me. But I sure do have access to all those memories that got poorly filed when my brain was addled on those drugs. And little secret I'll let you in on. Even though I was trained as a clinical psychologist and always abhorred shock treatments, the overall effect of being told that I was mentally ill and being on all those drugs was that it broke me down. I was a broken man for 30 years and in so much pain, unable to truly enjoy life. that twice, when I was most suicidal, they convinced me to take shock treatments. And they fucked with my brain. They fucked with my brain big time. Yeah, this is all new. I didn't walk down here yesterday. And pretty interesting development around those shock treatments. Those are artificially induced epileptic seizures. They give you drugs that cause you to have an epileptic seizure and another drug so you don't break your arms and stuff. And they recorded all, oh, that was a good seizure. That's going to wipe out those memories. And that's what it does. It wipes out your recent memory. So your depression gets better because you've been turned into a zombie who doesn't know who he is anymore. Well, when I first moved into the Battery Park Apartments, which I hated so much downtown Asheville, within a month I had a stroke. It's always been diagnosed as a stroke, and big debates between stroke people who say, yeah, 36 hours, anything less than 36 hours, if you don't have lingering damage, that's a mini-mal. No, not a mini-mal, it's just a mini-stroke. They weren't calling it a seizure. Whereas my doctor said, you were so fucked up, you had no idea what was going on. You were out of it. You were in the hospital for 3 days. That's a stroke. Well, in New Orleans, where I was for the winter of 21, I wanted to follow up on all that. Well, because, by the way, in Louisville, Kentucky, I had 3 more. During the summer of 21 was Louisville, Kentucky. So New Orleans would have been the winter of 22. Summer of 21 in Louisville, Kentucky, so much stress between a son who wanted nothing to do with me, kept pitching to him, being in the city that was so ripped apart racially, and doing work for Black Lives Matter. There was just pain everywhere. I had 3 strokes in the month of July. Last one did land me in the hospital. And they kind of, after waiting and being shipped from the country hospital into the big U of L hospital and waiting 5 hours, they saw me for a half hour and had me profiled as old, homeless because I lived in a van, I guess, poor, although I had good insurance. And they dismissed me with a diagnosis of lightheadedness and no follow-up. And let me go back out on the street not knowing where the fuck I was. Yeah. But in New Orleans, I followed up on all that because I was damn curious. And the head of neurology at this one very big clinic in New Orleans said, that's not strokes, that's seizures. Something that comes on that fast and leaves no residue, that's a seizure. So the curious thing about that for me is if I am having seizures, which I never had before in my life, but the shrinks artificially induced something like a total of 40 of them, artificially induced seizures, is there a connection? Because I sure do want to make them pay. I want to make Mission Hospital in Asheville pay for that last wrongful diagnosis hospitalization. And I want to make the psychiatric profession both pay. I want them to pay money, significant money, but I want to make this stink because this is not just me. That's what they do. That's what they do. I'm one story among many, many stories, and I want the story to get out big time. And it almost did. This podcast house, Earfluence out of Raleigh, at one point wanted to do a 5-part podcast about the story of me in psychiatry. They were hot for it, but the CEO finally overruled it because, hey, these stories about individuals, they don't make us money. No, our bread and butter is corporate podcasts. But with a little luck, the story will come out.